welcome to ShrigleytubeTV episode 13.
YouTubers, thanks to Russell and Dougie for a little intro there. If you're new to the channel, then welcome. I hope you enjoyed tonight's content. If you're returning, then thanks for returning and hope you enjoy it too. Got my little list here, all organised. This is what we've got going on tonight. So we start off with the Carter engine that belonged to Gerald. I dyno it. I got a bit excited about his big end bolts, so I did a bit of a talk about them and a few other bits and pieces. So there's a bit on that, and then we're cleaning an engine, a 1040 I'm building for a chap, and I've got some head work as well that I'm doing on it. So just went through some basics on the head work that I do. And then something I wanted to cover again from a while back when we did the flywheel lightning video, and what I've done is just got the camera real close up so you can see how we clock the crankshaft up with the clock gauge with the 4-jaw chuck. So covered that again, so a bit repetitive, but hopefully it'll inform people that couldn't see from the previous camera angle. And then we've got Mark. We had a visit from Mark, one of my local club mates from the IMP club, and he brought his 1040 engine that he's doing as a home build, but I provided the bits. So I said bring it along and we'll snot the head on together. So we did that together. And then the exciting bit, we had a visit from mrRatty. The one that, it wasn't the one that I found in the workshop the other day that when I was taking the gearbox out of the Husky. It's another one, I think it's his grandson, little baby one. So we caught him and then we let him go. And then at the end, the best bit, well, real nice car, this Lancia Stratos belonging to Mr. Bergerac, my neighbour at the workshop. So we had a good look around that, and he put his sales pitch on to try and flip it onto one of you guys. If anyone on there buys it, can you suggest to him that perhaps you should get a bit of discount because you saw it on ShrigleytubeTV. Right, thanks for watching. Morning chaps, I'm just loving putting the Ian Carter engine back together. I've just been putting the big end bolts in, so they're all torqued up now. We've put the ep13 bolts in, and I thought, oh, I just thought out of interest, I see if I've got an original bolt. Now, what I'll say is originally the Imps came with a 5/16 bolt in the big end, and then obviously there was no ARP around in the 80s or whatever, so everyone just used cap head bolts because they were the, you know, your 12.9s high strength bolts. So what Ian's done is he's machined the rod to take the 3/8 UNF, the bigger bolt, which is great, but then because he's obviously a perfectionist, what he's done is he's looked at the bolt and he's thought, right, well, this studded area is going to be subject to stretch, so each of these sharp corners is an issue. So what I'll do is I'll give it a nice polished shank, and then he's reduced the weight. He's left the shoulder so it's got good surface area where the shoulder sits on the cap, but he's machined all that off. And you know how many hours are in machining these bolts just to make them better than that. So that is an original one of them. That's what he's converted that to that. So what I thought I'd do is, just to acknowledge the effort this bloke went to, this is a bolt. I'll put it on little scales here, just under 24 grams. And this is an original bolt, just under 28. So 4 grams a bolt, 8 grams a rod, you know, worth having. Absolutely brilliant. Also, I just thought of worth mentioning while I was here was, which I wasn't going to get involved with the engine, but I thought, well, better check the valve springs haven't gone a bit squidgy because they've been in for a long time. So they've lost about 5 mil off their height. So we're going to put a set of valve springs in it as well, just to make it a bit more foolproof. And something else that I really like about this Ian Carter engine, for years, Imps have been modified. What they do is they put a big long stud through the mains cap, and they bridge this to a big plate in the bottom of the engine so that it helps hold the crankcase all together and keep it all nice and rigid. And for years, what they've done is they've fitted a block like this on the cap, and then they've machined the cap. Now, you know, this is a stressed piece, this, so why you'd ever want to machine it from its original skin, you know, is beyond me. Anyway, they put these flats on them so this can sit. So personally, what I always do is I machine the block down to suit the cap, and I just rub the cap on a piece of emery on a machine table and make these heights the same, like that, there to there, so that when I make the block uniform, the whole lot, because it's all machined at once when it's in the factory, you know, the mains to this sump surface here. This surface is always true to where the mains sit. Anyway, the point I'm coming across is what Ian's done is he's left the caps completely untouched, and then used these screw threads so that all the load is transmitted through the thread with this nut that you can adjust. You can even put a bit of a preload on the plate to hold it all rigid. Absolutely brilliant. I wish so much I could have met this bloke. Anyway, that's that. He was gone, unfortunately, before I was involved. So there you go, a little bit of an insight into the goodie bits of this. Oh, I've missed the main bit. Crikey, what am I doing? So the other thing I wanted to say was this is James Ibbetson's rod that I built into his engine, and it failed at Castlecombe early this year, and we did a video all about it just before the Brands Hatch series. So you can see, if I zoom in, there's a good chance, although I'm not like a metallurgy guy, that the crack propagated from this corner here, and this corner is a spot face. Now if I look at a standard cap, you'll see the spot face there has a 90-degree corner. It's a sharp corner. Let me try and get a better angle for you. It is horrendous. So you can see that 90-degree V there. And so when things are stressed, just for people that aren't into, you know, the stress job, the weakest point is always going to be where we have like what we call a stress razor. So on this cap, that 90-degree sharp corner from the outside of the spot facing tool is where the weak bits come from. So whenever you look at a modern steel rod, they're always nicely radius. There's nothing sharp. And when we look at Ian's rods, let's just try and zoom in. I'll get a torch perhaps. He obviously, well, they were revving these things high, so they would have had loads of problems. But can you see he has completely polished that area so that there's no chance of a stress razor, and that's probably why his engines were, you know, fantastic reliability record. You know, I mean, back in the day, obviously these things got ran to like 9.5, 10,000 RPM. Now we keep them to 8.5, so they last a year. But you know, back in the day, it was a different ball game. The job was very, very competitive. I mean, it's competitive now, but it was competitive in a different way back then. Anyway, that concludes my little chat about the Carter 1228cc engine. Okay, YouTubers, we're on the dyno now with the Carter 1228. Very exciting for me. I've always wanted to run one of these. Now, I'm not going to go crazy with this because the chap who it belongs to wants to get it back in the car and back to his homeland, so it's important we don't break it. I've got it with hardly any advance in it and plenty of fuel, but we're just going to give it a little workout to make sure he's all happy. It's got, I can tell just from the throttle response here, it's got loads of torque. It obviously being a big engine. We'll just take it to like 6,000. We're not going to go crazy. You see it flying around there. It's actually off cam there, believe it or not. Bit rich as well. I think it wants more advances blowing the exhaust pipes there, but I'm here to just prove the wheel strings are sealing properly and we've got oil pressure, etc. And I can confirm that all that is really good. So yeah, really happy with that. I think the chap will be happy to have it back. Right, I'm going to attempt to start the Carter engine one-handed. This should be interesting. I've just been underneath it after last night's session, and I'm pleased to say that it's nice and dry, which is always a good result. Obviously, this is a Talbot Sunbeam block. You can tell by this block here. So this is out of the upright engined the upright engine in the Talbot Sunbeam 1 litre. Same as Lotus Sunbeam, but they did a 1 litre road version, and that's where this block came from. It is an imp engine. It's just a bit of a later casting. It has a rear oil seal rather than a scroll, so it's a bit of a better design. So we'll put the ignition on, and we'll keep an eye on the oil pressure gauge. I'll just give him a bit of fuel. First time. Right, obviously most of the noise there is coming from the drive shaft, but it is a little bit clacky, the engine. It's probably just, when it was warm, it was quiet. It's probably just on like what we call like a big clearance. So because I'm running it in on the Torco 1040 braking oil, this is probably better suited to running like the 2050 or the R40 Castrol. It'd be on a big clearance. It probably started life on 4 or 5 foul clearance on the piston skirt, and it's probably up to like 6 now. So if you hear a little bit of a clacking noise from the block, that's what it is. It's nothing to stress about in the slightest. It's just old school engineering, and when it gets warm, it's nice and quiet. So yeah, oil pressure was great. It does everything it's supposed to do. So that's one in the out tray, and we'll crack on and try and get something else built this week. Right, I'm just in my cleaning tank with me. One of the new blocks. You can see that of the 2 blocks, one of them is an imp block, and this one is a 930 block. So this has been finish honed, decked, new top out liners fitted. This is at 74mm. As I've said before, I leave the liner with no flat on it, so we don't have the issues with them cracking, because it's when you put the flat on them that's where the crack always propagates from. So the liners are in the block. This is obviously a sunbeam block, so I've machined the back here so it clears and done all the bits that you need to do. And one of my old training school at Ingersoll Rand, the guy that used to teach us, he always used to say, cleanliness is next to godliness. So I thought I'd do a bit of a video on this. This is my pipe cleaner. Now, obviously I have aqua blasted this block, so it's in the acid now for its final clean, and it has had plenty of washes. But we just go through the motions of running the pipe cleaner down all the gallery. So the gallery runs from one end to the other, and it's cross-drilled here to here and through to the main. So it just give it a right good agitation, because any glass bead, well, it's not actually, it's not glass bead, we'll call it glass media, that's from the blaster that's in there needs to be dislodged. So when I get the hot steamer on it next, it all comes out, because we do not want any of that in our build. It will finish the engine's life very, very quickly. Okay, YouTubers, I'm doing a pair of engines for somebody, a bit of an upgrade. These were 998 race engines from back in the day. I've just stripped the heads and cleaned them off a bit. And before I start going through them, I thought we'd have a little chat about them. So these are what I call old school 998 heads. They're on big valves, 1.4, 1.125. This one's a Chessman head. We can see these heads don't have the support screws like the Carter head does. So we're going to put support screws in them. We're going to go through them with guides, recut the seats, etc. We'll make little intruder pistons out of the top of the piston crown, and we'll reshape this chamber to help them flow a little bit, we'll say. Because obviously it's quite well shrouded, the valve, with this shaped chamber. The Carter heads are always relieved around here, but that's another story. Anyway, these heads are based on the Imp Sport castings. So if we look on the front, we'll see they're both 180 castings, and this one is an Andy Chessman casting. So these are what I'd call, like back in the day, 100 horsepower 998, you know, R22, R23 cammed engines. I think the ports are around about 1 inch, are they? Something like that, about 1 inch. We probably can't go too much bigger without the risk of breaking through. We can go 26.5 quite happily. So we'll give the ports a tidy up and a bit of an alignment. The chap's organised brand new manifolds for the engine, so we've got lovely Will Parry combined exhaust manifolds. In fact, we can actually grab one of those. Very nice. We've got the new manifold here, so that's straight from Will, that. This is his equal length 4 into 2 into 1, and does a lovely collector on them as well. So that'll help them go well. We should get new cams in him as well. We're going to put them on a pair of the modern profile 400 thou cams. So these should be good engines. These good 75, 78 foot-pound of torque and a good 105 horsepower. And over here next to my earlier rag, we've got the crankshafts. Now these race engines, I've pulled them apart. The cranks, both of them are nitrided. Both of them are bob on size, so measured them all over. So I'm really happy to use those again. We'll put new bearings in. We're going to put them in a lathe and turn these down to 3 inch, because both these blocks, well, one of the blocks is a 930 block, because I've reblocked them for him. They were on old wet liner blocks. and the other one is an imp block with one of the Maynard rear oil seals in. So there's the heads. I'm going to start by knocking the guides out. Then we're going to, one of them hasn't been welded. That one's been welded there where they crack. You can see the weld. And this one, I don't believe has ever been cracked or ever had the weld. So what I'll do is I'll route this all out, weld it up first, put some meat there. It just reduces the chance of it cracking on the when we torque the head down for the first time after it's been rebuilt. Now there's a couple of extra holes that you might notice, and these are my dowel holes. I've done them in both heads because I've allocated the head to a block. What I like to do is to ensure that the wheel string is concentric to the liner. I sort of do a dry build, make sure everything lines up first, dowel it, and then it doesn't matter what I do from now on. I know that when I come to put it back together, the wheel strings will be concentric to the top of the liner, because it's really important that everything sits in the right place. We can't have a wheel string overhanging the edge of a liner, or it will fail and cause a problem. And incidentally, the oxidization you can see in here is from wheel string failure over a period of time, and the moisture's got into the pot and wrecked it. So yeah, we're going to redo all the wheel string grooves. I don't think there's a major issue with them, but this has had a bit of war. So we'll skim them, just a minimum skim, not taking loads of meat off. We just want to make them fresh, keep as much meat on the face as possible. We'll put some nice bridges to bridge the chamber to the exhaust port floor there. That'll strengthen it up a bit. And yeah, we're going to get a pair of nice engines out of these, I think. Right, we're just going to touch on very quickly, going over a bit of a head overhaul. We're going to put some guides in, cut the seats. But the first thing we need to do is, well, the first thing I always do, regardless of whether they're cracked or not, is I just put a slug of alley there, because the material's really thin and often they crack when you tighten the head down. So regardless of whether they're cracked or not on the sport casting, put a bit of a slug of alley in there. And of course what that does is it pulls the head here, because obviously it's alley. So what we're going to do is, I've got this set up on the machine now. You'll see I've got this extremely precise piece of measuring equipment called a hacksaw blade. So what I've done is I've lifted this side of the head, because what I want to do is I want to skim the head, but I also want to try and put a bit of compression into it as well. So by reducing the material off this side of the face, it actually makes the chamber shallower, so we get a smaller combustion chamber. And also, as a byproduct, it also lifts the angle of the inlet port, but only ever so slightly. But everything's worth having. So I won't waffle, we're going to just get on with it. I'll just do a quick skim and then we'll touch back on. Right, okay, I've just done the first pass. So obviously, as discussed, the head is higher on this side, so you can see it hasn't cleaned this side up, but it has on here. So we'll put another 10th thou on it and see where that ends up. What I'm looking for all the time is the depth of this groove. This will obviously have less material took off this side than this. Now to clean this up, I need to take about 5 thou off it. So if it's 58 thou now, I need it to go to like 53 thou, so that when I put the tool in to do the wheel string groove, it definitely cleans up on the shallow side. So you probably actually, what I should have mentioned in the first part was, there used to be something called a Chessman wedge head. So this isn't a wedge head, but what they would have done as from the start, when they've got like a blank casting off the Imp Sport assembly line, they would have got a head and skimmed it with as much as an 80 thou tilt on it, which is 2mm for the metric people. So it'd be 2mm thinner on this side than this side. Now we're not going to get anything as drastic as that, but that was how much effort they went to back in the day to A, gain the compression, and of course B, if you think about it, it brings the inlet port angle steeper, which obviously helps the air turn around the corner better. So yeah, a lot of effort went in, and we're just touching on here, just trying to get the best out of this head, so that when it all goes together, we get the best performance. Right, it's done the second pass now, so you can see the head's cleaned up all over, which is great news. It wasn't warped or anything, which is always a good start if the head's had an easy time. Still got loads of material on the face, so that's all good. So what I'm going to do now is we're just going to have a quick measure of the shallow side of the thing. So 58, so it's barely kissed it. So we want to get down to like 53. So I'll do another 5 thou cut now, and then that'll be, I'll do that as a nice slow cut, and then that'll be our finished cut before we start doing the wheel string grooves. Okay, I've done the finished pass now. So hopefully on the shallow side of the wheel string groove, this is the side that's had the least material. We'll have a minimum of 53 there. That's what I wanted. So now I can take that back to 58, so I've got 5 thou to clean up the shallow side of the ring. And yeah, that little bit of compression gain should hopefully help him along his way. So I'm not fussed about the surface finish at this stage. I'll give it good face plating afterwards. But we'll get the wheel string tool in and we'll go through that together next. Right, okay, we're here now with the head. I've just done the first wheel string groove, just cleaned it up. I just basically centered on the original groove. Obviously, when you do a fresh head, it's a bit more tricky because we've got to get the grooves measured out in the right place. But for this, just like a reconditioning job, I just centered on the original groove, went down to my depth, got my 58 thou. Really happy with that. It'll be a good job. The new wheel string sits in lovely. So what I'll do is I'll crack on and get the other 3 grooves done, and then we can get on with blasting the head, cutting the seats, changing the guides, sorting the ports out, blah de blah de blah, ready to get this thing a tune out of it next week. Okay chaps, something we've touched on before, which is turning the crankshaft for a Hillman. Okay, I'll say hello. Down to 3-inch. So we turn the scroll off so we can put them on a standard type lip seal. Now, I have tried to do this before on the camera from this angle, but you couldn't really see what was going on. So cleared some space, and what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and go through how we clock up the crankshaft, which means we get the crankshaft really concentric to the chuck, so that when we machine it, the whole lot stays true. So this is a 4-jaw chuck, so it has 4 independent jaws, which you'll see here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll try and get the camera off in a minute and show you this side. But what we're going to do is we're going to put the clock gauge on the rear main journal here. I'll just check. Looking at the camera, you can see that. Yeah, I think you can see that. And then we'll see how far it's running out and how we can use the jaws by moving the jaws independently to get the journal running true, because it's sort of really important. So I hope you can see the clock there. Make sure he's not near a hole. Okay, so I'll put the gearbox in neutral on the lathe, and we can see there it's running out 35 thou basically. So if I push this, I can see that when the needle goes in, the clock goes that way. So this is my high spot here. So it's between these two. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to back off a little bit on this side and then chase it with this one. Let's see if we've got it any closer. Oh, that didn't work out very well, did it? Oh, hang on. I've not put the other end in yet. Bear with me. Right. That might work a bit better now. Right, so you can see as the crank goes round, out of relation to this diameter, it's going up and down. So this is our high spot here. So we want to send this one down. So I'm not sure what that's going to do. Let's reduce it a bit. We're down to sort of 10 thou. Just check the camera. Can you guys actually see the clock gauge? Oh, I can't see either. I'm hoping the angle's got it. I just can't actually see. Stupid. Ah, right, there you go. We have got the clock. Right, brilliant. So you can see the clock going backwards and forwards there. Wonderful. Right. So we're down to about 15 thou now. So this is our high spot. So I'm just going to back him off ever so slightly on this side. And then chase it across. So as I bring this jaw back, I'm bringing this one in. And that'll hopefully put us closer. So we're now down to about 9 thou. So goes to the highest spot again between these two. Let's give that a bit of a wang. So all 4 jaws are now tight. And I can see that this is our high spot. So I'm just going to back him off a smidge. And I mean a smidge. Oh, not that much. And then chase it with this side. Right, we're now down to 2 thou. So this is our high spot again. Still at 2. And it's just there. Just give it another bit. Well, what I'm doing here, rather than undoing the other side, because that gives me too much movement, I'm just squashing it over, because the more pressure I apply from one side, we're looking for, at the moment, we're looking for 1.5 foul. So it doesn't take much to get it in the right place. So again, I'm not going to back off the other side, I'm just going to chase it over like that. And we're within 3/4 of a thou there, which is probably good enough, but we'll carry on with it and get it absolutely crack on. Because if you want, oh look at that, oh I'm getting good at this. If you want this to work as a rear seal, really important that it runs true to the crankshaft, because the seal won't cope with it running out. Right, brilliant. So that's all tightened up now. I'll just take the camera off, or I'll bring it over here. So we can see the needle's dead rock steady. What I'm going to do now, if you look, I have actually brought the crankshaft away from the jaws ever so slightly. That's so the tool can run off the end, and I can get another tool in to chamfer it. And then at this end, we've got the lock for the tailstock and the lock for this. So it's all locked up with a centre in it, so that nothing can escape and fly out. Right, well, what we might do is we might try and do a little bit of machining as well, although when the guard's down you won't be able to see it from that angle, so I'll have to move things around. Right, hopefully you've got a good view there of what's going on. Now this crankshaft has been nitrided because it's out of a racing engine, so that's where it goes under a heat treatment that puts like a really hard skin on the outside of the steel. So what we'll probably find is it'll be quite tough, but once we get under the skin it'll turn quite nicely. So I'm not going to go crazy. I've set the speed to 260 revolutions per minute, which is quite slow, but crankshafts make me nervous because if they come out they give you a right nosebleed. So I'll set him going. Puts on. The intermittent cutting is because we're putting on the scroll, not because it's running out. Right, careful we don't run into the jaws. Another 20 thou cut. Should be under the skin soon. Then we'll speed it up a little bit and try and get a nicer finish, ready for when we polish it. Right, we've finished machining the crankshaft down to 3 inches, so this is where the seal will run on the back of the engine now, stop them from spewing oil all over the back of the crankcase. Just going to say, you know, what an absolutely cracking crankshaft these are. Considering they are standard, you know, you don't even have to nitride them with modern oils. We run the standard crankshafts all year long, up to 8,500 RPM in the race cars, and they don't appear to have an issue. So obviously a steel one, an EN40B or something, is preferable, but if you don't want the expense, these suffice, no problem. So we'll just put the G-clamp on. I'll try and do it one-handed, which I'm not very good at. And we'll just get a measure, make sure. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take the crank out. That feels good. So what's that saying? Oh, wow. I'm getting good at this job, aren't I? Just lucky that was, by the way, that wasn't skill. So that's 3 inch bang on. I'm going to turn the crankshaft around now, put the free jaw chuck in, and I'll polish all the journals and this. This is just had a rough polish. I don't like getting too close to that chuck and everything. I prefer to have my tape out here, but you've got to do it, as I always bang on about, you've got to do it in the direction of rotation. So the direction of rotation is that way. So I'd rather be the crankshaft this way round with the nose in here. So I'll sort around, put the free jaw in now. Right, chaps, that concludes the polishing and the machining of the crankshaft down to 3-inch. That's ready for cleaning now. We'll get the pipe cleaners down it, make sure the galleries are clear, and give them a good TFR in before ready for assembly, hopefully later today. Now, just in case I don't want to ever enable anyone to have an accident on the lathe. You may have seen me, you know, rubbing on the time lapse this rear housing here, or this rear diameter. Now, what I'll say is that you shouldn't put your hands anywhere near a lathe. I know if you watch the crankshaft repairs in India, like they hug the chucks and that, but they're braver than us. So what I'll say is that I've got always got a plan. Whenever I've got my hands near the machine, if I turn it on with this lever here, no, it won't go on because the guard's up. Put the guard down, turn the machine on. I've got a brake pedal down here basically. So if I turn the machine on with this lever, like that, and if something looks like it's going wrong, just a case of, just stops him absolutely dead. I'll show you again. It's like it turns the electric off and it breaks the machine. So I always have my foot hovering over it, because one slip and you could end up in a little bit of trouble with your mixes and lose a couple of them. So yeah, just if you're going to go on a lathe, make sure you've got a plan on how to be safe. Thanks for watching. Okay, we just had a knock at the door and we've had a visitor, one of my local club members, Mr. Mark Cistern.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Very well, thank you, Andy.
And what have you got for us here?
It's a 1966 Hillman Imp engine. It's the curly block variety.
I'm gonna say, wow, it's a really early one, this, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the later blocks were a straight edge for more strength. If you look, these are really thin and lightweight. If we compare it to that one there, you can see there's a lot more material on it. So yeah, and this is a little bit bigger. Is it plus 20 or something?
1040. 1040, yeah.
74 mil.
Yeah.
Wow, it's gonna have some talk, this. Right, well, what Mark's come today to see us with is, I don't normally offer this service because I normally just do turnkey engines, but because Mark's so local and we've done a bit of business in the past, haven't we, Mark? Mark's a very thorough engine builder, so he does this, he waits for his wife to go out, and then the kitchen table, gets the best cloth out, it all gets laid out, and as you can see, I mean, look at that rear oil seal conversion. That's a neater job than I do, that is.
I've got more time, Andy.
Probably, yeah. I'm patient. Yeah, so we've got, just to go through the spec, Mark's building this for his lovely Mark 1 Imp. He's done it all himself. It's one of my dry liner blocks, and I didn't mind doing it for him because he's local, so being a control freak, even though I've sent it out in pieces, I still feel I've got some control over it. So I said, will you come down and we'll put the head on together just so I can control that. So it's already been together, like we discussed earlier in the program about the dowels. So I know the dowels will make the head line up perfectly for the wheel strings. And this is like, we'll call this it's like a go faster Imp Sport, isn't it? So it's had the ports opened up and it's on a 1.3 and a 1.125 valve, which is the biggest valve you can get on a Imp Sport seat. So that makes them nice for the fast road job. And Mark's took my advice and kept with the Imp Sport cam, haven't you, Mark?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they're a cracking cam, the Imp Sport cam. So we'll get this put together. Do you want to talk about the car at all? Which one's this one going in?
This is going on this 66.
Right, is that the red one?
No, it's green, orchid green.
Oh, you've already done an engine for that, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so it's an upgrade, are you?
Oh yeah, because when this was the original engine out of the car, which when I took it to bits originally, lots of years ago, you condemned it quite rightly.
Oh, did I? Oh, the liners had lifted at the top, hadn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said, put it on one side, and when you've got a few pound notes, we can convert that.
Oh, right. So these engine numbers match the car, do they?
Exactly, yeah.
Ah, wow, a matching engine. Yeah. Right. Well, I just wanted to get something clear. If I do see it at National Weekend, and I won't be able to vote for it because the engine's non-standard. If it was 875, I'd vote because I know the car's very pretty.
Well, you never voted for it when it had the sport cam in it.
Well, that was my excuse then because you had a sport cam in it, yeah. No. That's brilliant. Well done. That looks like a cracking job. What we'll do is we'll find a nice TDC position and mark it so we've got a reference, and then we'll put the head on. We won't bother videoing that because it's something we've done many times before. Okay. Thanks for watching. Okay, we just finished putting Mark's head on, and we've measured the compression ratio, and it's 29.1 cc's, which gave us 9.9 to 1, which means we can run nice normal pump fuel, don't it, Mark?
Absolutely,
and yeah, a bit of temperature. We don't mind it being up to like 80, 85 degrees water. It'll be nice and friendly, that. So nice little job done. I just had to make a little video because I've got something wrong with me, really, that I really like a curly edge block. I think they look better.
They do.
And they're significant.
Feel better as well.
Yeah, they're significantly lighter, you know.
Yeah.
I might do a 1040 race engine for as a curly edge block for my engine, because people talk all sorts of rubbish, you know, about they twist and they do this and they're no good and not strong enough. The actual die castings are brilliant. I've never had a problem with any of them. My Husky's got a 1068 curly edge block in it, which is 75mm bore, and I've run that for years. So yeah, brilliant. Well, good luck. So I won't ring you on Christmas Day. Is that where you'll be, in the garage?
I'll be in the garage fitting it after getting home from the pub.
Pub, feed,
food,
chocolate,
engine.
I like your style. Well, thanks for letting us interview you and talk about it.
Thanks, Andy.
Very special visitor in the workshop at the moment. We've got no less than mrRatty. I don't think this is the one that I saw the other day when I was taking the gearbox. You might remember I saw one the other day when I was stripping the gearbox out of the Husky. I think this is like his great-grandson. But he's a happy little chappy. So I'm pretty sure he's a rat, not a mouse. Yeah, looking at the tail, he's definitely a ratty. He's only a baby. So we're going to go and let him out near the canal because he can't live here. He might start eating my cereal again, and that really upset me. Okay, we'll go and find you somewhere to go, mrRatty, alright? Right, we've found a nice quiet spot here where mrRatty can go and live his life. Don't come back in the workshop, okay? Understand? No workshop. Good ratty. Go on, you dipstick, out you go. There you go. Where are you going? Under the Ford. Good lad. Right, bit of a treat. Our friend Bergerak's kindly agreed to let us have a look at his car. What is it again? Is it a
TR7
X19?
Yeah.
X19. No, it's very special replica, but it's a proper replica, isn't it? It's not a mess around one.
It's not your usual kit car.
Now, you've seen this green one, and you've seen this Pals one, and then this one is a new one that he's built.
Yeah.
So
absolutely fresh build.
yeah, it's stunning, mate. And when this comes back from the DVLA, will it be like a brand new car?
It will be like a brand
So
new car,
the first owner will be the first owner.
Yeah.
Wow, and it is actually for sale, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just gone through its IVA tests, so yeah, ready for the road.
Right, give me some history, Bergerac.
What sort of history?
Like the Lancia Stratos, you know.
Oh, well,
I wanted to get to the bit about the Hillman Imp.
They were designed to be a rally car.
Right, and what engine did they have originally?
The originals had a Ferrari dyno 246.
Wow.
This one's got an Alpha V6, which is kind of as close as you can get.
Still
really.
Italian, still blue head gaskets, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What are you joking?
Yeah.
So who designed it?
Well, the body was designed by Gandini from Bertone, but one of the development engineers was Mike Parks.
Parks?
Who is obviously a Hillman Imp man.
Yeah, he designed the Hillman. So this would have been like some of his, like, you know, what's the best way of describing it? Learn work, and then he went on to design the Imp absolutely amazingly.
Come out?
Yeah, maybe he was like an apprentice when he did the Imp. He's obviously a very, very clever chap.
Yeah.
Because I mean, well, they're just awesome, aren't they?
It's got space frame chassis.
I'm just trying to get some good angles. Space. Oh yeah, it's full space frame, isn't it?
And then Nitron shocks all round, proper suspension, 4-pot brakes all round.
4-pot brakes. Let's get a view. Can we have a look under the bonnet? Because you told me it got air conditioning. Didn't believe you.
Yeah, it has. It's got an aircon squirreled away and a heated windscreen.
And a heated windscreen. You could literally use it all year round.
Car,
and it won't rust either, obviously, will it?
Well, not for a good while. Just hold on, will it?
I'm nervous of touching it. It's a bit too shiny for what I get involved with.
There we are.
Look at that. So, obviously, that's the radiator for the engine, and
the aircon rad's in front, and then obviously that's
the condenser.
system.
Nice. You've done a good job, mate. Look at that.
Yeah, they're a very nicely engineered kit. Not your usual rubbish, really.
It's a bit dark in here for the camera, but
they supply basically everything apart from the engine and gearbox, so it all just goes together really nicely.
You know what, mate? What I like about it is the panel fit and everything is superb on it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even the way the bottom of the door fits, you know. Look at that.
No messing about.
It's not a what were the old kit cars that everyone used to cringe at?
A Dutton Sierra.
A Dutton Sierra. What you built out of your Rotten Mark III Cortina Crusader. Oh, look at that.
Exactly, yeah.
Look at the trim.
Yeah, it's really nicely done. All Alcantara.
Hang on, where do the kids go?
That's the one issue.
That's the one issue. Well, it's not really an issue, is it? Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you very much for showing us around, mate. Mate, look at this door hinge here.
Yeah, beautifully engineered.
Open the door for me. I need to see how that works.
It's all on rose joints, fully adjustable.
And it's got a little stop as well.
Yeah, oh yeah. No messing around.
Proper job, mate. Proper job. So,
attention to detail.
if I had any money, how much would I need to pay for it?
This is currently advertised for 117,000.
117.
The company that made them, they've not been taking orders for a few years because they're that busy.
Yeah.
They've got, I think they've got about 200 people on the waiting list waiting for one. So I don't think this is going to hang around for long.
No, not with your tongue. So you built this, right, from scratch?
Scratch.
Well, say from scratch, from a kit.
It's practical as well.
Were you? Oh, look at that! You can put your shopping in the back, or the wife.
Gets a bit warm.
Get the wife in there. What I was going to say was, so what? Give us some background on your education. Are you like a trained mechanical engineer?
Absolutely not. No, I've just always liked classic cars.
Have you?
Yeah.
You speak very well. What school did you go to?
I'm from Barrow in Furness.
Yeah, no. He was. Where were you educated?
And then I went to the Royal Northern College of Music. So I'm a
Wow.
classical musician.
So your mum and dad spent all that money on your education,
And here I am.
and here you are in the next unit to me, turning spanners, mate. Well, I bet it's sticky on Christmas Day, isn't it? No, mate. Well, I don't know. You were wasted at that School of Music, mate, because you are stunning. Attention to detail is awesome, mate. If I had 120 large, I'd pay that and tip you. Right, thanks very much, Bergerac.
We'll have to go down the road a bit.
Oh, I'd love that. Yeah. Oh, is it cold?
It is cold.
Can we? It sounds so much better. Just give us a bit on the mechanicals. This is a 3 litre, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an Alpha V6, 3 litre. Yeah.
Yours is your other one's a
Six-speed gearbox.
6-speed box. Your other one's.
2.5. So
A 2.5.
About 30 or 40 mil brakes. Something like that.
I didn't want to upset you, mate, but this one sounds a lot fruitier than yours. Can we have a cold start?
It
Not.
is very fruity.
I don't want any RPM, but I just
On
can we.
some keys.
It does sound awesome. Yeah, it's got a real nice bark to it. Are you alright getting in there?
Yeah, it's a bit of a squeeze.
Bit of a squeeze for a long creature like yourself. Never ever cold engine, mate.
It's not that cold.
Oh, isn't it? Oh, right, okay. Right, thanks very much, Bergerac. I like the buttons on dashboard. I'd want to press all of them at the same time.
Very pop.
Turn the lights on so I can see the dashboard lights on. The illumination.
Look at that.
Oh, look, it's got pop-up headlamps like a TR7. Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, that's stunning, that, mate. Well done.